What's going on, everyone? It's Bales, and welcome back to another AFL Fantasy Team Reveal post round 7. Pretty good week, 2,088. Didn't cop as much of the carnage as a few teams out there. It was a pretty chaotic week, to be fair. Long weekend as well, from obviously Wednesday to Sunday. But 2,088 did see me have a round rank of 8,076, which wasn't my best round rank for a few weeks. But, as you can see, the overall rank there, we are inside the top 1,000 finally. 995th. A bit nervous at the end there. I thought that if there was a late update, I was like 997th. I thought late update could push me out. But actually rose 2 spots, which was nice. And it's good to be having a 3-digit rank there. We've worked our way from what was it, 39k post round 1. We've gained rank every single week. We've gained on the 100th coach every week bar 1. I've got the hat chase sort of doing just like on my own notes on my phone. We've gained points every week. We lost 44 points on the top 100 in round 5. Not a great week. That was our worst week for the season. But we did still gain rank in that week. But I gained those points back with 50 points. I gained in round 6, and then this week I gained an extra 16 points. So the gap is only 173 points between myself and 100th spot, which, funny enough, is DC from Hat Chat. So shout out to DC, who's now the 100th ranked coach in fantasy at the moment. So yeah, hopefully, mate, I'll see you there in the top 100 soon. Well, that's the goal anyway. But yeah, pretty happy with that. Obviously, we just got to keep rising up the ranks, and hopefully top 500 this week. That'd be the goal. Maybe top 750 would probably be almost a bit more realistic if we can have a decent week. But we'll have to see how we go. But +3, -3, and also team value is going quite nicely there. I think it's 20.75 million. I think I calculated that, adding the money in the bank and how much the team went up. But it's going on pretty well, so I'm happy with that. +3, -3. +3's got to go to Big Maxi Gorn, top scoring player on the side, VC on the Wednesday. It is a lot more relaxing, even though this weekend wasn't relaxing. It's just relaxing to have your VC locked in, first game of the round, lock it away. And it was good that it wasn't just a 110. It was a 120 plus a 134, and was able just to be, lock it away. No question about it. So, yeah, very, very happy with him. -3, Tom Power, 34 points, playing at half forward for the game. Didn't quite get that role change. He's been a pretty good player for North this year, almost at one of their breakouts, playing in that midfield. Then they bring Phillips in. Simpkin gets more CBAs and power plays at half forward. And I was speaking to Liam and Tim on the pod last night, and I said that maybe it looked a bit like his confidence was a bit shot. Like maybe he got told pre-game he was playing more forward and he wasn't happy, and sort of maybe even like a head tilt and a bit of a not very happy at half forward. So I'm hoping Phillips dropped this week. He got subbed that tactically, so it's probably a chance that he does get dropped. Eddie Ford, I think, missed the game through injury, but I'm hoping that he'll be back, take that forward spot. Tom Power, hopefully back in the midfield and back scoring fantasy points for us. So one bad week. I'm not going to panic just yet. Not a great score by any means, but it is a forward line. A lot of poor scores there this year. I'm going to hold this week. He's got Saints, good matchup. If he had another poor week this week and didn't have the role, that would be where I'd start getting a little bit concerned. So that would be where I'd look at trading. But yeah, let's get through the other players in the team. But as always, before we do, if you are enjoying the content around here, please smash a like on the video. It does help the channel a lot and it'd be very much appreciated. And also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Run our way to 3,000 subscribers before the end of the season. That'd be huge if we get there. I don't know if we will, but if you guys can sort of ease those doubts, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and that'd help out massively. And we're near at 2,200 now as well. So thanks for the support so far, guys. Been very much appreciated. But yeah, let's go through them. Harry Sheasel, 125. Really not much to add. He played a bit more mid-forward in the second half. But again, he's only had one score below 125 this year, averaging 125 for the year. He's just a gun, and no worries about him. Saints this week. He's going to be a pretty popular VC, I think, on that Saturday twilight game. Could be a big game coming again for Harry Sheasel. Lockie Whitfield, 105. Just ticked over the score again. Just solid. It's pretty much how to sum Whitfield up. He's just really, really solid. He's averaging near 110, isn't he? Yeah, 109 for the year. He's had those 2 games of the 137 in the opening round, then the 120. It's been, I guess, the only probably frustrating thing is he hasn't hit many of those ceiling scores in the regular season. But I think that they're going to come eventually. Sydney this week, tougher game. Essendon, Dogs, Cats. I like those 3 matchups before the bye. So yeah, I think he's definitely. I think he's a top 3 defender. I think it's pretty clear that, or top 4. I think you got what? Sheasel, Whitfield, Martin, Dacos. Not in that order. I'm just saying from those 3 and then Dacos. They're probably the 4. In what order? I think Sheasel's 1. And Whitfield could potentially be number 2, or maybe Dacos. It's going to be interesting to see where it all plays out. But he's a top 4 defender locked in there. Nick Martin 113 was great. Just getting it done every week. Played 4 in the last quarter, which funny enough was his biggest quarter of the game. That had more to do with Harry Jones getting not knocked out. His broken nose, I think it was. Got subbed out. Nick Hine came on. Hine played in defence. They pushed Nick Martin forward. I think he said in the post game as well when he's interviewed on Fox Footy that it was just a 3/4 time thing, and he doesn't expect to be a role moving forward. So he is fine. So no issues there. Riley Bonner 80 against Port. Not too disappointed with that, to be fair. Port's a tough matchup, especially Adelaide Oval. Obviously, revenge game for him there. The only worry I got with Bonner now, obviously, he's got 2 great matchups, so I'm not worried about them. He's got North Melbourne, then Hawthorn. If he's in the team, he'll score. I think he'll score pretty well, but that's the worry. Webster's suspension's finished this week, so he could just come straight back into the AFL side, and maybe Bonner's out. I know Ben Patton is due back this week as well, whether he plays VFL. Mason Wood's going to be back. I think they'll bring him back into the AFL team. So Max King apparently will be back as well, but Max King doesn't affect him as much. But it's just a worry that with a few of those guys back, does Bonner keep his spot? If he doesn't, he'll just be traded for me anyway this week. But if he holds his spot, I think he's still fine to hold even with an 89 break even. Matt Roberts, 82. I know he's on, what was it? He was on 44 at a 38-point last quarter. So 44 at 3/4 time. But just gets it done. Like, what? He's gone between, what is it? Lowest score of 68 in round 2, or round 1, sorry, against Collingwood. And 94. So just been really consistent. 4 of his last 5 have been over 85 as well, which has been great. So, yeah, for me, he's just getting it done, and he's not a worry until he drops really a bad score. So, for me, he is fine there. Reid, obviously, having the captain's arm pad this week. Very, very happy with him to help me take that Gawn VC. Zach Williams, 60. I'm glad I benched him. I benched him for Will Graham, which I'm happy with that call there. I'm normally on the wrong end of those rookie roulette calls, so I'm glad that I got that one correct. Williams. The positive thing is I get to see how he goes on Friday night. Get to loop him, see how he goes. I know David King on Fox was saying that Zach Williams should be dropped. I don't know if that's going to happen. There's a lot of injuries at Carlton at the moment, especially in defence, where I don't know if they can afford to drop him, but if he did, he'd obviously get traded, and there's a chance I do trade him anyway, but at the moment he's going to stay because I can loop him Friday night. If he has a good score, Reid goes there. If not, then a Graham would just come onto the field for him, because Close will be on field anyway, but Graham would just come on field for him. So that's my thinking at the moment. Closey was just on the wrong wing for most of the day, copped a shoulder knock as well, came back on, played out the game, so I think he'll be fine. I'm still fine playing him on field. I'm not too concerned with him. You've got to have a rookie or 2 on your field, don't you, that maybe they're not as consistent as a Matt Roberts or a Harley Reid. So, Closey, I'm fine with him being on field. Jack Steele's a worry. 72, knee was heavily strapped. Almost looked like Sean Darcy's knee, the way it was strapped, just completely taped up, which is a concern. This just bad flashbacks of last year. I brought him in last year. I think it was like around 7 or 8, and he essentially killed my season bringing him in. 72, tough matchup as well. So he's got North Melbourne and Hawthorn his next 2. The hope is he was just tough matchup, and it was just maybe a little bit of a niggle, but he'll be fine. It's going to be really interesting to see if anything does come out from Saints and they say that he's dealing with an issue. Because if he is, he's got a 151 break even, I believe. It's quite high. If he puts 106, he goes down 26k. He's going to lose a lot of that cash that he made for us at the start of the year, and he was looking like a top 4 mid. I'm not concerned. I'm concerned, but I'm not going to trade him this week because I've got other guys I want to trade out. But if he was to put up another bad score and look bad as well, that would be where I'd be probably jumping ship and making sure I do. And even if that's going down to a forward like a Baker or a Dylan Moore or something, and then maybe going a rookie up on the other end, that would be what I'd consider doing, because I don't want to be holding a premium that's injured and just popping bad scores. But hopefully he's fine. Easy matchups. Hopefully he goes well. John Dawson, 122. He's been really good. Very, very happy with the bounce back that he's shown. Got that 60 against Carlton. I was quite worried that he was going to be just sort of a Mr. Fixer almost for the Crows. But he's been in the midfield. He's kicked a goal in the last 4 games, which is also really good to see. But he's been very good besides that bad score. Like, I know he had a bad round 1 with that wet game, but every other game since then, he's done pretty well. Last 2 weeks as well have been massive. That 122 would have been a 140 quite easily, but he got rested for the last 10, 15 minutes of the game. So 122, still very happy with that. Obviously we know he is very capable of putting up a massive score. Like, look at the week before. He gets marks, he tackles, he kicks goals, he fills up all the stat lines. He's the guy that you want he's a typical player of midfield you want on your side. So if you don't have him, he's a pretty good target. 100 break even. He's not going to get much cheaper, I don't think, for a little bit. So I like him as a target if you don't have him. Bont, frustrating. 40 points a quarter time. I thought, here we go. Bont's going to put up a big score. But I was also going, well, he's done this before where he's had big quarters and gone quiet. And unfortunately, this was the latter. And he went quiet after quarter time. Only 56 points. A lot of handballs. Got plenty of the ball. Had 26 disposals. It was just frustrating that he didn't put up a 110. Because normally, if your premium gets a 40 points, especially midfield, if they have a 40-plus point quarter, you'd expect them to get to at least a 110. Like, it's only 70 points in the other 3 quarters, which is still below probably what you'd want. You want, 25 points a quarter from your premiums to get 100. So Bont, he's fine still. Like, he's only had that one really bad score of 53. If you remove that, he's averaging 107, 106 or something, which is okay. There's not that many midfielders that are absolutely smashing it at the moment. So I'm still fine with with Bont there. 2 good matchups to come: Hawthorn, Richmond. So the hope is he can just bounce back to some form in the next couple of games and go pretty well. He's been okay, but just frustrating, I guess. Errol Goulden, very, very happy to own him. It was enjoyable to watch in that final game with that 120. Probably the main reason I really did rise up in the ranks late. Goulden, another great target. I mentioned Dawson's a good target. I think Goulden's a good target if you don't have a Tom Green already with that round 12 bye. He's got, Giants this week, tougher game. He's got a decent enough record against the Giants. Then he's got Freo, who I know he went really well against them last year. I think 140, 150. And then even Carlton, he went 180 in the preseason against them last year. So could be some good scores coming. And then Bulldogs at Marvel's a pretty good matchup for Goulden as well. So I like Goulden as a target at a decent enough price. Hayden Young, you're very happy with that. Scored 100 after, the 88 the week before from only the 54% game time. So good to see him back and look good as well. So no worries with Young. He's going on nicely. Tough matchup. 82. Look pretty good still. Gold Coast, I think, are the hardest matchup for... Well, I know they're hardest matchup for inside mids, and I think they're one of, if not the hardest as well for midfielders. So, tough matchup for him. 82 is still solid enough. It is a point where you do look at his scores, and he actually reminds me a bit of like a Riley Bonner in a way. He's got a better role and less of a priority. But if you look at the scores, they're pretty similar. The 2 108s there, but he's been around an 80, 90 sort of guy. I think he's going to average anywhere around that 90 mark. I don't know if he'd be a top 6 defender. He could be still. Maybe it's just a few games lower and he might get back to those hundreds as soon as this week. They've got Essendon, Optus and Collingwood, Melbourne. So a couple of good matchups there. Crows, St Kilda, North. Good runs to the bye. But he could be a guy that at his bye we just go, hey, he's been a good pick. We jump off of him at his bye to like a Jack Sinclair, for example. He looked pretty good on the weekend. Maybe something like that. But at the moment, he's a low priority and he's still ticking over with solid scores. Jeremy Sharp, poor score from him, only 39. All the wingers didn't score well in this game. It was very much a game through the middle, as Liam was saying on the pod last night. He's got Richmond this week. Good matchup. It is a point where he's 570. He's got to break even to 76. He's averaging 71. It makes sense that it's time to go. He's not a must trade. He's got Richmond this week, which is a pretty good matchup. And he's even got St Kilda around 10. So if you could even hold him for a couple of weeks, that's not a bad shout either. It's just at the moment he can actually get me to the upgrade I want. So I'm looking at trading him this week, but I don't think it's a bad play if you did hold with a good matchup, but he can go. And he hasn't scored below 63 in any game besides this one, so he's still been solid. Will Graham, great score. Loves the tackle as well, which I think for the next couple of matchups is going to suit him really nicely. Brisbane, contested game, I think that'll go well. then back-to-back games at TIO. So could put up some solid scores. Seems safe enough for a 50 most weeks. So he got a 50 against Sydney, but every other week he's gone over 60. So I think he's a decent player to have on field at the moment. And he can tackle his way, meaning he's got a pretty solid floor. I don't see him putting up a 30 or a 40 with those tackle numbers that he can put up. So I think he's an alright option to play as D6 or M8. Ollie Dempsey, I think, can go as well. Again, similar to Sharp, 70.4 average, 76 break even. He dropped back-to-back 50s now. So, yeah, I think he can go. He's got a pretty tough run coming up. Like Melbourne, I think for wingers a little bit trickier. Port, then Gold Coast at TIO, not great. Then Giants. So, yeah, tough matchups to come. Again, if he gets the upgrade that you want, I think he can go. Jai Clark obviously did not play, but danger out means he could potentially come back in as the sub, which is going to be frustrating. It means he probably drop cash. Max Gawn, obviously mentioned him before, the second highest averaging player in the comp behind Harry Sheasel, being one of the picks of the season, and he has been a joy to own and will be another, and will just be a guy that's almost a bankable VC captain option every week, and just solid. Tristan Sherry, 83 again, just again solid enough. Gave away a few free kicks in this game. We gave away 3. Tackle numbers were his lowest of the season. It wasn't really a tackle heavy game. It was a pretty uncontested game, this one. So I still expect him to be fine, but when you do look at it, obviously he's only had 2 scores under 100, and the rest have been over 100, like 104 was his lowest besides that. So he's been solid. By no means am I saying he's a trade out, but it could be a play in a couple of weeks' time, even as early as the week after, like not next week, the week after. If he drops another 80, it's not even going to be 100k to go after English. It's a pretty small upgrade. I would say Marshall, but he's expensive and he's got a bit of he's got like a knee issue at the moment that he had in that Port game. So I'd probably rather just jump onto a Tim English at the moment. So that's not much of an upgrade, much cash to go up. So that could be something I might consider next week. Like, I could even potentially do Jai Clark down to a rookie and then go Sherry up to English with the cash I'll have potentially left over in the bank. So that's something I'm considering. Yeah, 98k, there you go. English is 943. So, yeah, that's something that I might consider and we might have to start considering soon. Barnett obviously didn't play. Heaney, 90. First score under 100 for the season. He did have the most CBAs, though, of any player on the ground. Parker does come back this week, but I can't envision the way that Heaney's been playing this year, that they just push him out. He's going to be in the midfield there. So I still think he's going to be a top 6 forward, probably a top couple of forward, if not the top scoring forward. And yeah, he's still fine. Did get some attention from McGuinness and a few other Hawks mids after quarter time, and was rested for, I think, the last 5, 6, 7 minutes or something. So yeah, that could have been 100 if he wasn't rested there. So he's fine. Sam Flanders, 112 again. He's been sold the last 3 weeks. 125, 126, and 112, is it? Yeah, 125, 126, 112. Been solid, really good. Plenty of marks as well back in that defence. Only the 22 touches this week, so a little bit lower on the touches. But again, he's just getting it done week in, week out. He'd be a top 2 forward. Not too much doubt about that, I don't think. Tom Power, we mentioned him before, low score, hopefully he bounces back this week, and if he doesn't, he would go for me the week after. Jack Macrae, pretty solid. I'm still pretty keen on Jack Macrae if you don't have him. 730k, went up 15k this week, 68 break even. People are going to say Lib was out again. Can you trust it? I think you can. Ed Richards had the most CBAs for the Dogs. He'll just move out. It'll be Libba taking the CBAs. And Macrae only had 8. So it's not like Macrae dominated CBAs and Libba coming back means he'll lose them. Macrae will have the same role. He's the guy they like on the bench. He'll come on for a Libba or a Treloar, and he'll be the guy that helps rotate those other midfielders. And if he's on the ground, he plays at high half forward and plays as that extra midfielder. So for me, Macrae, I'm still fine bringing him in. I think he's still a decent option, especially with the lack of forwards as well. So I was pretty happy with that 90. A few tackles. He's sort of tackled a Freo play and they'll just get a handball out, which it means it wouldn't count. But he could have easily had 100 if a few of those counted. Takanow's been good last 2 weeks, 7 and 6. His marks have been pretty solid as well. So, and I guess that high half forward role, he's able to get into a little bit of open space to get those marks. So, yeah, for me, I like Macrae as an option if you don't have him. Harley Reid obviously didn't play, but I was able to take Darcy Wilson's 92, which was really nice. He's been really good the last month, especially. Every score is over 60, 3 scores over 70. That was his season high on the weekend with 92. Kicked 2 behinds. It could have been a lot bigger of a score. It would have been 100 from him. His time on ground's been really good as well. high time on ground last 3 weeks. Mason would bat this week potentially, and a few other guys means that his role might not be as good, but I still think he's fine. He's shown over the last few weeks that he's been a very valuable player for St Kilda, I think, on the outside. So I think Ross Lyon's going to recognise that, and I think his role will continue. So I'm happy putting him F6 for the time being on field. Guesty was disappointing, 41, just didn't really get involved much. Could even be a potential guy that does he make way this week with a few guys potentially back for St Kilda. He's shown a little bit. He's shown good sort of like pressure, but he is still a little bit raw in terms of sort of just, I don't know. We'll see if he holds his spot. If he doesn't, that's going to be unfortunate, but I think all of us jumped on him. He was still a good option to bring in, I think, anyway. Cadman only just got his break even, went up 3K, but he's not going to make much more. He would have to get a 60-plus score this week to really make another, 50K or so. But again, he reminds me a bit of like Corey Dern for a couple of years ago that I had. Probably just keep him on the bench there unless going him down to a rookie gets me the upgrade I want. But I've got other rookies that are worth more than him that I want to move on first. So he's not a priority trade out. Harvey Thomas, really good few weeks since he had that poor score. I know he got the 45, or was it last week? Then the 77 this week, got the 81 before that. These are more the scores I expected. I expected him to go anywhere from 45 to 75 most weeks. Had that bad score of 15 against Gold Coast, Adelaide Hills. But I think he's around that 50. So hopefully he can make a little bit more cash. 24 break even. If he can get up to 500k, that'd be amazing. So hopefully he can keep making the cash there as well. And obviously we spoke about Darcy Wilson before. So that's the team. Again, very happy with how it went in round 7. Early trade thoughts, and I think they're probably going to stay with this, to be fair. At the moment, I've got Dempsey down to Jordan Sweet. I just think Sweet's a really good option to bring in if I just get Sweet up here. 443k, break even of 12. So if he gets to 73, he's going to go up nearly 50k. So he could be 500k next week. And again, if he can get to 600, 650k by the time Soldo comes back, downgrading him is going to potentially, it could be in the buys, it could get you 2 upgrades. It could get you 2 rookies to 2 underpriced premiums. And that's why I'm looking at doing it this week, because I can also get the upgrade on the other end. Because I had 267k or something in the bank, I'm actually going Jeremy Sharp up to Nick Dacos. So I know Dacos has got Carlton, which is probably a little bit of a tricky matchup. Hewitt could go to him if he plays midfield. Maybe a Kennedy could play a defensive forward role on Dacos if he goes in defence. But Dacos has shown this year that they're happy to throw, Collingwood are happy to throw him around everywhere to get away from the attention. So that would be something there. 267k got in the bank. So, but Dacos I'm happy to bring in. If Bonner got dropped, if that did happen, like I did mention potentially could, I'd go Bonner to Sarong, and Sarong would be my in this week. I just think Sarong's buy of round 13 is really valuable. Richmond this week could be a pretty good captain option, if not a VC option that I'd look at. It might be a captain, could be go Gawn into Sarong, or you go She's into Gawn, something like that. But Sarong's a guy that I'm pretty keen to jump on. But Williams could also go for me this week instead of Sharp. But even if Williams went, it'll be to Dacos, and same with Sharp. But if I go Bonner, I can get Sarong, so that would be something I'd be considering. But that's what I'm looking at. Let me know in the comments below, guys, how you guys went in round 7 in the pretty chaotic round. Hopefully you guys didn't cop many bullets. But let me know your score, your rank, your +3, -3, and your rage trades. If you've got any other trade questions, well, put them in the comments below. I'll get to those when I can. Apologies, I didn't get to many questions last week. Busy week with birthday and Anzac Day and the round starting on a Wednesday. It sort of was a pretty quick week, to be fair. So apologies, I didn't get to questions. So I'll be able to get to them this week. So chuck them below and I'll get to them when I can. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you do smash a like on the video. If we can get 100 likes on this, that'd be fantastic. Appreciate support as always. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. On our way to 3k subscribers, make sure you subscribe. I think there's like a thing on the analytics page that says, I think 60% of people, so you guys watching the content on the channel haven't subscribed yet. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do help us out, get to 3k. That'd be very much appreciated. At this stage, we'll be back tomorrow for live Q&A. Obviously, me and Tim, and get a couple of guests on as well. Get a bunch of your questions in. It'll be 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. Australian Western Standard Time. But stay tuned to all the socials to make sure that we are doing it. It's not a guarantee, but we would like to do one. So make sure you guys stay tuned at BallsDT across the socials and AFL Fantasy Fans on Twitter. And we'll let you guys know across there. If not, Trade Talk Wednesday will be the normal content as always. So if I don't see you tomorrow night for the Q&A, I'll see you guys on Wednesday for the Trade Talk. So happy rage trading, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video. So I'm out. Cheers.